Hello everyone and welcome to this tutorial on creating an experience vision. This is an integral part of the primary intention process because this is where you have the opportunity to articulate what your life is all about and like in real, tangible form sometime into the future. And as we may have discussed, what you want to be doing is creating something that is really akin to a painting or a great story or a great description of what your life is and what you're experiencing on a daily basis. In other words, if I were going to run into you 5, 7, 10 years from now, and we were sitting having coffee somewhere, and I said, what's your life all about? What's going on for you? You'd be describing what's going on in your life in a way that would give me a clear understanding of how far you've come and how you've really moved to a place of greater contentment and happiness for yourself. So what I'm going to do is read to you an experience vision I wrote back in 2006. And I am in the process of redrafting it because there are some changes. And not everything has come true, but many things have. What I'm doing now is, with things that I've learned over the last 10 years, is going back and saying, okay, so how important is this to me? What direction does this need to take? What things have I not done perhaps that maybe didn't mean as much, or maybe I wasn't able to do right away, or whatever that is. Either way, what you're invited to do is to write an experience vision that is truly your own, based on everything you've learned so far in the process, what your core values are. We worked very hard on that to get at the essential top 5 values for yourself. The same thing with your top 5 strengths. Are they being demonstrated in some way within your experience vision? You have your personal mission or purpose statement that we worked on. You have your understanding of how people contribute to your life when things are at their best, when you look at those optimal experiences. All of these things come home to roost here as you paint this picture for what your life can be. And really what you're doing is designing your life based on what makes you tick and what is really important to you. So what I'm going to do is read to you this vision that I wrote a while back. And what I invite you to do is simply listen without reading it if you can, and just listen to what you hear being described and what pictures come to mind. What sounds do you hear? What do your senses pick up? What does your heart say? It's not that you should be copying this at all. You should not be copying my language. What you want to be doing is listening for the experience coming through. And that's what I invite you to do. So let's begin. Today is August 6th, 2016. Today is August 6th, 2016. In some ways, it's hard to comprehend how fast the last 10 years have passed. I found myself experiencing more and more contentment as my work has continued to be an extension of my personal journey. As I look outside my office windows, I can see that the small lake has become crystal clear. The creek that flows into it is providing more fresh water than usual, and the drainage is also more effective. My assistant Anna just told me that a client, Phil, called this morning when I was in a meeting to tell me that last week's retreat was the experience his team needed to catapult them into a rejuvenated place of creativity. He also wondered if we ever found his socks that he took off to dive in the water in a moment of ecstatic release. Primary Pathways is a household name in the fields of individual and organization development. We are a preeminent leadership coaching firm designing custom learning events that support change. We are best known for creating a shift in the awareness of business people as they have collectively progressed in their own contentment. Two concepts have become deeply ingrained in our work, and we continue to explore them. The first, intentional enterprise, has become ubiquitous in the industry now. Developing a number of methods for broader organizational use and then seeing great results has certainly moved the performance management field ahead significantly. The second concept of applying distilled intention to every organizational function has reached a point where it also is not new, and many people are applying it. Our in-depth intention workshops have put primary pathways on the map, and we are identified often as those intention people. We are now a team of 8, including Anna. The others help to jointly create an ever-evolving offering of books, articles, workshop material, learning tools, and learning events. Thankfully, the 5 books produced to date have helped generate ample revenue that each are paid a comfortable salary that meets their needs, and they only have to focus on the work at hand. The second book was my favorite, both to write and in how well it sold. It took the concept from my first book, Primary Intention, and expanded it toward a broader audience both in North America and Europe. It was a smart move to translate it. After French, German, and Spanish, we had a great debate in the office about which language would be the most appropriate. We realized that Mandarin was the next big market, and that version sold over 80,000 copies. The last book was the easiest to write, primarily because my writing coach and I have developed a good system of me giving her my thoughts, ideas, stories, and points, and she does the crafting of the final product. In this way, I can focus more energy on the public presentations, which now are paying $20,000 each. One of my favorite programs is the Fireside Chat, a shared learning conversation that takes place around a fire. We usually add it to a learning event that takes place in the country when the client agrees. It is a free-flowing conversation of discovery with minimal facilitation. The mesmerizing power of the fire helps people to generate a rich dialogue. The fees are always the source of some discussion and reflection. Once we were comfortable with what value we were offering, we started to contemplate what, in our hearts, was the right price. For now, it seems that $20,000 for a keynote of 50 minutes and $25,000 a day for a learning event is a balanced model. When one of our staff supports an event or facilitates one on their own, we charge $15,000 per day. Again, this is something that works now, and we'll see how things progress. Each staff is supported by guiding each other in our learning plans and definitely practicing what we preach. Some in our office are meditators, others are not, but each day we all take 5 minutes at noon to be silent. It is magical when the whole office becomes quiet. No phone calls or meetings. It's like the morning starts all over again at 12:05, bathed in a rejuvenated bath of silence. I have continued to apply myself to my understanding of music. Chanting and drumming are part of my DNA now and have given me so much upliftment, insight, and happiness. At the root of these practices is meditation. Steadily as time has passed, the regular time of 6 a.m. has become one-pointed, reserved for meditation. The result has been a deepening awareness of who I am and a lightness within my entire being. What I've come to experience more and more is how I am more able to offer myself to the world with greater kindness and humility. I am happily married again to the proverbial woman of my dreams. She has her own profession and also helps us out at times. I like her input. So often it comes out of a totally different space than what we find ourselves in. It's like that in our relationship. She is, to sum up, a good sport. I knew I wanted to marry her when we woke up on our first vacation together to a 3rd day of rain. Her easygoing nature was contagious and took me out of my experience of disappointment to a happy, contented place. So this is the experience vision that I created for myself 10 years ago. And as I'm slowly working on redrafting it and editing it for the next 10 years of my life, so many things start to flood in as I think about where I am now, the things I've accomplished, and what I want to see happen in that time. For your own experience vision, I encourage you to find a time frame that you feel at ease with. 10 years might feel a little bit long, or maybe it feels just right. Certainly do a minimum of 5 years. 7 is where a lot of people end up. That seems to be a number that a lot of people like. But what's really important is to use the time frame that really feels right for you. I really encourage you to write the first draft unedited, and even if you can, if it's possible, to try writing it by hand to allow yourself to be at ease and relaxed as you do it. Just read it to yourself and see what comes up. And when you do your first edit, the first thing I suggest you do is to simply cluster ideas together. As you heard, a big part of this is about what I do for work in the world, because this is where I spend most of my time and where most of my focus is. And at the same time, I've included other things that are important to me. I didn't include anything about physical fitness because this is something that's just part of my day-to-day life. But at the same time, if you have specific goals around physical fitness or your physical body, include those. If you have certain interests that don't fall into ideas that you've heard in this experience vision, again, you're not meant to copy this. You're meant to be supported in understanding what an experience vision can be and how detailed it is. Keep it to 2 pages single spaced if you can for now, and see what happens. And again, don't edit the first draft. Just write it out based on everything you've learned so far with the primary intention process and everything you know about yourself, and see what comes. I promise you, if you give yourself permission to do this, you will begin to see great things that you're able to accomplish. I wish you great insight and an easeful heart as you write your first draft.